They're the biggest fish in the ocean, but also one of the most gentle.
He wants a pet.
For travellers, they're a bucket list mainstay, but they also travel thousands of miles themselves. Whale sharks are well known, without being all that well known, and that makes them fascinating fish. We've compiled some of the most stunning footage we could find and added in some facts about these amazing animals. So we hope you enjoy this whale shark special of Deep Blue Discovery. Coming up on this episode, find out why whale sharks have teeth in their eyes. And before we start, if you want to see the best sea life footage every single week, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Every year, between March and July, more than 400 whale sharks visit Australia's Ningaloo Reef to feast on plankton and krill. Because they're such keen travellers, this is one of the only locations in the world, alongside places like the Philippines and Baja California, that they stay long enough for tourists to swim with them. And that's perhaps now what they're best known for. Whale sharks are indeed a tourist attraction. And while that sounds mildly tacky and has occasionally led to unethical behaviour, in some parts of the world it's a good thing, because it's in the interests of the economies to make sure they survive and thrive. In order to survive, these big beasts need to eat, and they consume an awful lot of food. Like their basking shark cousins, the second biggest fish in the sea, whale sharks are filter feeders. That means they open their mouths and take in whatever's in their path. They eat plankton, fish eggs and krill, but because their mouths are so colossal, they often also feed on small fish and other marine wildlife. Here's an example of a particularly large whale shark feeding vertically, which is something they're often seen doing. Its mouth is nearly 5 feet wide, its body more than 30 feet long. When it comes to size, 30 feet is about top-end average. This juvenile female is smaller than that, but still immense. Whale sharks have been known to grow much larger still. The length of a school bus is often mentioned. On the feeding front, whale sharks have hundreds of teeth, but they don't use them for eating. What's more interesting is that they also have teeth in their eyes. Well, kind of. They're basically a pretty novel defence mechanism, only recently discovered by science. Still to come on Deep Blue Discovery, the tourist with a lifelong fear of sharks who thought this guy could cure his phobia. Whale sharks used to be hard to find because we didn't know where to look, but they're actually very curious creatures. They've been known to approach boats, and if this case off Hawaii is anything to go by, they appear to like being petted. Here's another example of an apparently friendly whale shark, this time off Australia. Whale sharks, it seems, can be so friendly in fact, they sometimes let you take a ride. But you wouldn't be able to hold on for long. These animals travel thousands of miles, sometimes in a single year, and they move at incredibly slow speeds. The furthest distance recorded by scientists was 12,000 miles across the Pacific. It's thought they migrate to find food, but also to mate. Sadly, whale sharks are considered vulnerable. They live for a long time and reach sexual maturity relatively late on in life. They're also hunted in some parts of the world and often fall victim to things like ghost fishing nets. Here, a group of divers are rescuing a number of these majestic animals who have fallen victim to exactly that. On this occasion off Hawaii, it took a family of divers on vacation to rescue this whale shark, who had also become entangled in fishing gear. To be specific, a large rope cutting into its fins. Fortunately, while their numbers are falling, it's still possible to see them in many parts of the world, especially in the places we mentioned earlier, as Australia's Ningaloo Reef, the Galapagos, Mexico, and parts of the Philippines sometimes represent the endpoint of their annual migrations. Finally, this tourist had a lifelong fear of sharks when he decided to do this in the Philippines. Knowing whale sharks are gentle didn't make this any less difficult for Geir Johansen, because he didn't expect to get this close to one, but it's certainly an improvement. Previously, he would only venture into the sea if there had been no confirmed recent sightings of sharks. Thanks for watching this episode of Deep Blue Discovery. Whale sharks are fascinating because we know relatively little about them. Despite being the biggest fish in the ocean, they're difficult to study. Tags don't work at certain depths, and these guys can dive to more than 6,000 feet, so even learning about their migratory habits isn't easy. We also don't know much about whale shark reproduction. Of course, they've roamed the oceans in one form or another for about 70 million years, even overlapping with the dinosaurs at one point. So maybe secrecy is the secret of their success as a species.